Looks, youth, and intelligence can mask the darkest of thoughts. A serial wife sacrifices everything for another ring.
Come on.
She would have taken on an army if she had to.
Just do it!
A Texas beauty wants total control.
This was a murder of rage.
And two sisters aren't daddy's little girls.
This is an unbelievable murder.
These deadly women appear candy-coated, but they are made of sugar and spite. Denver, Colorado, 1996.
Well, he bought it on the spot.
Hey!
33-year-old Teresa Perez is a car saleswoman with a special skill.
A soft, beautiful young woman.
Are you proud of me, Bob?
I'm so proud of you, I can't tell you.
And she saw the effect that was having on men, and she liked it.
She would draw men's eyes wherever she went.
She doesn't just seduce her customers.
Not bad.
I want to celebrate.
Teresa seduces the boss.
Justin made a lot of money through his car dealerships. He was a good businessman, and she wanted to take advantage of that. So she latched onto him real fast.
70-year-old Justin Rosen can't believe his luck.
I rather doubt Teresa would have been in love with Justin if he'd been a normal guy with a middle-class bank account.
Oh, Teresa, I'm much too old for you.
I love older men.
She loved him for what he could do for her.
Teresa's used men all her life. She's on her fourth husband,
What are you still doing up?
Waiting for you. Where have you been?
and they're heading for divorce.
Teresa was drinking heavily
What do you care?
and developed a gambling addiction
No, you've had well enough.
Who are you to tell me when I've had enough to drink?
and started stealing money from her husband.
Where's my money?
You mean our money?
No, my money!
She maxed out credit cards. She rang up $42,000 in debt. She was out of control.
It's over.
She threw punches at him in total anger. This wasn't playful Pat. This was intent to do harm.
Teresa wanted a close relationship with the man, but once she had it, she didn't know how to handle it. And her bad side would come out. Psychologically, Teresa was all messed up when it came to men.
But her sugar daddy only sees her sweet side. And when her fourth husband leaves her, Justin sets Teresa and her daughter up in a luxury apartment.
So, how was practice today?
Yeah, it was great. Can't wait till next week.
Oh, really?
Justin was very generous to Teresa. She had a very nice place to live. He gave her cash all the time.
Teresa Perez was a woman who wanted all the finer things in life. She just didn't want to have to earn them herself.
Her teenage daughter has seen a parade of men. But Justin's old school.
Oh, thank you.
Sweetie, why don't you go have dinner in your room tonight?
Mom.
Now.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm not comfortable with
No,
her.
no, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
When Justin said he didn't feel comfortable with a teenager in the house,
You allowed here?
Oh, I love it here.
Teresa said no problem. She packed up her daughter and shipped her out to live with her father.
There's no point sulking.
I don't want to go.
Too bad. You're going.
She didn't want the kid around.
Come on.
Justin's wallet came first.
Teresa is convinced one day Justin will be husband number 5. There's just one catch. He's been married for 60 years.
Oh, no more for me, thanks. I gotta get home.
When the wedding anniversary with his wife came up, he chose to spend the time with his wife, not with Teresa.
Don't do that again, Teresa.
I am sick of being the other woman.
Teresa didn't like that, not one little bit. Justin was dedicated to staying with his wife.
I'm gonna go, okay?
He took care of all her needs, and yet for Teresa, it wasn't enough. She looked at the house and the money and the prestige and everything that Justin had with his wife. And she wanted that too. She wanted it all.
Sneaky, cheating, jerk.
40-year-old Teresa Perez is livid. Her sugar daddy of 7 years, Justin Rosen, won't leave his wife.
After years went by and she saw she was nothing more than the girlfriend, she couldn't take it. Eventually, Teresa's bad side came out,
You think you can just dump me?
and she started stalking Justin, harassing him, being horrible.
When Justin said that he was going to leave, Teresa threatened him. She said, if you leave me, I will tell your wife everything that's been going on between us.
I am gonna tell all of your friends and family, you lying piece of dirt.
She was not going to let him go without a fight.
It's a push too far. Justin acts to protect himself.
Teresa Perez?
Yes?
Served papers on her, essentially a restraining order to stay away from Mr. Rosen and his family. I'm sure that probably sent her into a spiral of anger and feelings of deceit.
That was the final straw. It was like throwing kerosene on a burning fire.
If Justin won't be with her willingly, she is just going to take him. On October 3rd, 2003,
What are you doing here?
You're coming with me. What?
Teresa pays Justin a visit.
She approached him at gunpoint and kidnapped him, forced him to drive his vehicle away from his residence.
Stripped of legal contact with Justin, Teresa feels she has lost everything she cares about.
You are a dead man. But if I shoot you, I'm not going to heaven.
Absolutely had been terrifying for him.
But I'm gonna shoot you anyway. I am gonna die because of what you've done.
She's telling him that they both are going to die.
Shoot you.
It's all over now. They're gonna die together.
You're gonna die tonight.
Don't do this, Teresa, please.
You are gonna die and I'm gonna die next.
They drove around Denver with her ranting and raving.
There were people everywhere. But if he made a move to get anyone's help, she'd said she'd shoot him, and he believed her. It had to be so frustrating because help was just outside the window. But he couldn't reach out and grab it.
Then Justin has an idea.
Despite the fact that Justin must have been terrified, he was still able to think clearly enough to drive to a police station and pull in the parking lot.
He thinks it's a safe haven and makes a run for it.
She's got a gun!
Miss, put the gun on the ground right now.
Teresa is now surrounded by police.
Show me!
On the ground.
Just show it!
No.
Just go ahead and show me! Go ahead!
She puts the gun to her head, threatening to kill herself, and she's screaming a lot of irrational statements.
Just show me!
Then Teresa goes back to the car
Put the gun on the ground now.
and gets in the passenger seat.
Justin thinks he's finally safe. But
No, miss, no.
Teresa shoots an officer, then turns the gun on her real target.
We had to shoot her. As soon as she fired, pulled my gun on her. I started firing at her. I could see her getting hit. But the gunshots are continuing.
There's no stopping this woman.
Teresa shot Justin 11 times.
The only way to stop her is to stop her straight on. With the same force that she's using.
Both Justin and his murderer, Teresa, die at the scene.
I know it was difficult on the other officers involved. Seeing this elderly gentleman in the middle of this gunfight was shocking. They both died with me there next to the truck.
All her life, Teresa used men, even to her last breath.
I think that's what Teresa was doing. It was easier to have them kill her than to put the gun to her own head.
What exactly led Teresa to such a violent end is unclear.
She was in so much rage, she was nearly blind. She would have taken on an army if she had to.
But inside this tempting seductress was a dangerous monster.
Teresa was a beautiful woman, and her beauty attracted men, but eventually she made herself ugly to all of them.
Some women walk a fine line
She didn't want to leave.
between having a bad day
She acted out in a fit of rage.
and totally killing the mood.
For her, there was never enough.
On the outskirts of Austin, Texas, 31-year-old Brian Allen is happy and in love.
Thank you. Cheers.
When fate steps into his life and changes it forever.
Brian was inside with a girlfriend he was dating at the time.
Brian was best known as being a successful businessman.
Sounds like my truck.
A go-getter, a person who basically forged his own success.
But battles in the boardroom don't compare to the force of nature of his 35-year-old ex,
What the heck?
Kara Trishelle Green.
Get out of my truck!
Such a liar! You're such a liar! You're a liar! You're just like the rest of them! Just like them! Said you love me!
Trell's anger and the behavior that resulted was unbridled. She didn't care what she did or who saw it.
I'm sorry.
The flip side to Trell's fierce temper is a sweet, passionate woman.
Love you.
I can't do this again.
Trell was able to talk her way out of almost anything that she did.
But I know we're meant to be together. I know it.
Trell appeared to be willing to do anything to try to woo Brian back.
Brian realizes he's still in love with Trell.
They ended up dating again and eventually getting married. Trell was an attractive woman. She could be a charming person.
She was outgoing. She had a very authentic personality. She could come into a room, light up the room.
The happy couple has big plans and dream of a bright future. Thanks to Brian's success,
That's some job. You know I love a challenge.
He owned a construction company, and it was very, very successful business.
We want to build a feature metal arch right across here.
He just had a knack for looking at a problem, a building problem, and being able to solve it.
Trell's prince is planning to build a palace just for the two of them.
He gave her whatever she wanted. When they designed the house, he let her make all of the decisions. He spared no expense.
When's my home going to be finished?
Soon. Very soon. I'm building you a palace.
But Trell is not easily pleased.
On the surface, even though it appeared they had everything,
I gotta go.
there was something brewing underneath.
You coming back?
I got an appointment with my plastic surgeon.
Then it had a lot to do with her insecurities about their relationship.
Once again, Trell's darker side begins to emerge.
We going Friday night or Saturday morning?
So go Friday, make it a long weekend.
She was a charming individual up to a point.
Where are we going?
It's boys fishing weekend.
And that point was when she had too much to drink. Alcohol seemed to fuel her temper.
Get your hands off me.
What's the matter?
You're going away without me?
Her temper would go off like a switch, and she would become very abusive.
You're a jerk.
When she reached that point, nobody could reach her.
Trell told people she was bipolar, and that may be true. There's every indication she had serious mood swings, and she medicated herself with alcohol.
Between the arguments, Brian perfects every detail of his bride's dream house. When it's finally finished, everyone is impressed, except Trell.
Susan! How are you? I'm good. Your house is so lovely.
Yeah, it's okay.
You're kidding, right?
The kitchen's all wrong.
He built the house the way she wanted. She wasn't happy. She never seemed to be happy with it.
Please, not now.
Why? You can't handle the truth, big man?
Brian had gotten some hints from loved ones. They saw the relationship taking an ugly turn.
Hey, Trell, why don't you show me the rest of the house?
Sure. Why not? Take his side then.
I know. It's okay. I'll go.
A friend who told him, you might want to consider leaving this relationship for good. It could lead to something very serious.
Leave me alone, I've had it.
We need to talk.
Wanna put me down again, huh?
In Austin, Texas, Brian and Trell have a volatile marriage.
You said you love me! You said you love me!
Charming, fun, and passionate,
Where are we going?
Trell also has a dark side. And lately, all her husband sees
Get your hands off
is
me.
bad Trell.
You're a jerk.
Completely obstructive and obtrusive and violent on many occasions.
Brian tries everything to make his wife happy, even building her a mansion.
The house was a very lavish house.
It's okay. It's not exactly what I wanted.
You're kidding, right?
No. The kitchen's all wrong.
Brian wanted to give Trell everything, and he did, but what he didn't understand was, for her, there was never enough.
Now, the marriage is in big trouble.
The relationship had reached a level where there was a complete disregard for being husband and wife. Complete lack of respect and even consideration for the relationship that they had.
Their relationship is reduced to a series of battles. The smallest of disagreements sends her into a rage. But now, she fears he may leave her.
She was very unhappy with Brian, but yet she didn't want to leave.
Trell accused him of having affairs, was extremely enraged by it. At the same time, she didn't seem to want to let him go.
Trell tries another tactic: jealousy. She has an affair with Brian's friend in their marital home.
He's at work. Thank goodness.
That may have been her motivation for having her own affair. Maybe to get back at him.
You want to have some fun?
There's no doubt in my mind, Trell wanted Brian to know she was having sex with a friend of his. She probably hoped she'd get caught. It was very brazen.
But it's all too late.
I gotta say, your relationship, it's bad.
Brian has already decided to end it,
I've got to divorce her.
but fairly.
I'll give her half of everything.
Brian didn't want to do it, but he realized that he needed to.
I'm sorry. Me too.
The decision does not sit well with his wife. Bad Trell takes over.
She had become embittered and very jealous and paranoid. She felt like she may lose everything if he were to leave her.
On July 1st, 2013, Brian comes home for the last time.
We don't know what went on between Brian and Trell that day. My guess is earlier that day, there were words between them about a divorce. Maybe she found out. That's what set her off. This was a murder of rage.
Oh my gosh. I had to kill him. I had to kill him. I had to shoot him.
She sounds like a woman in distress saying, oh my gosh, I had to kill him, I had to shoot him. He kept coming at me.
He was coming after me.
Given the couple's violent history, Treshel's cry of self-defense might work. Except for one thing. 10 minutes earlier,
Die, you piece of dirt. Die knowing that.
she accidentally dials 911. Treshel's last words to her dying husband
Die, you piece of dirt.
are recorded.
Die knowing that.
As he's dying from a wound she inflicted, she's cursing at him.
Brian would have survived anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds. So that's what he's hearing. That's what Brian is hearing as he's dying and losing his life on the floor, is her calling him names, telling him to die, knowing that.
Oh my gosh. I had to kill him.
Like the past few months of his life, tortured at the hands of the woman he loved, Brian dies.
Brian is dead because of Treshel's narcissism and rage.
Treshel's inadvertent confession seals her fate. In 2015, Kara Treshelle Allen is convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison.
When Treshelle Allen killed Brian, she lost more than a husband. She lost her sparring partner.
Treshelle embodied two lives. When she was good,
I love you.
she was more than charming. But when she was bad, she was deadly.
The likelihood that Treshelle could ever get control of her temper is very low. A life sentence was completely appropriate, and if she ever gets out, everybody in Texas should move.
Holly, you never answer my calls.
Families aren't always forever.
All they cared about was the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
And when they break,
We're not talking something that's worth a lot of money.
there's a price to pay.
The blood is on their hands forever.
Colwyn Bay, North Wales. Breakups are always tough. But for the Robinsons, it's particularly bad.
I can feel her.
While the family, including daughters 16-year-old Holly and 19-year-old Ashley, anticipate a new arrival.
Oh, she's kicking.
Mom Joanne
Got some news.
hits them with sad news.
Their parents had been together for 25 years. They never actually married, but it was obvious to a lot of people that they were starting to fall apart a bit as a couple. A couple of weeks before Christmas, they split up.
Your father and I are separating.
Why?
He wants me to move out.
And that's when the problems began.
Why do you have to move out? It's just the way it is.
Well, I'm coming with you.
Girls, you know we haven't been happy.
The family splits, but not down the middle.
You know I still love you.
After the breakdown of the marriage, Tony was in the house by himself. It's a nice-sized three-bedroom bungalow. Joanne moved into a one-bedroom flat.
Mom Joanne takes her youngest daughter with her.
This place is too small for both of you.
And Dad's got all that space.
Pregnant Ashley goes to live with the father of her child.
And he's got my jewelry. It's yours. They won't give it to me. Makes me so mad.
Tony's keeping the jewelry and some cash at his place.
There was certainly a feeling that Tony wasn't being completely forthcoming, that things were being held back and they weren't getting a fair shake.
The resentment brews.
Ashley and Holly had a problem with their father.
A rift opens between the Robinson sisters and their dad.
Their relationship, once they moved out of the house, appeared to be non-existent.
And on one notable occasion, she actually ignored her father in the center of town and walked straight past him.
I'm giving you a call, too. Holly! You never answer my calls!
Dad can't seem to do anything right.
That's your dad.
He means nothing to me.
She won't talk to me. Give it time, mate.
Frustrated Tony leaves town on holiday, hoping it will eventually blow over.
There came a time when Tony was out of town for a while, and Ashley, her boyfriend, and their baby moved into Tony's house.
With her 20-year-old boyfriend, Gordon Harding, Ashley thinks it's an opportunity to reclaim her mom's jewelry and steal some cash. But they're frustrated.
They became almost obsessed, and it exacerbated needing to know where this money was, where the jewelry was, whether he'd sold it, whether it was still in a safe. Could they get it back?
Before the couple can work it out, Tony arrives home.
Dad, we weren't expecting you.
That's obvious. Look at this mess.
He found Ashley, Gordon, and the baby there, and the house was in an untidy state.
It's nothing.
Well, it is for me.
He wasn't happy with that, and he basically told them if they were staying, they were going to have to keep the house tidier.
You want to keep living here, you better start cleaning up. Now!
Tony tries to make peace, though he's suspicious of his daughter's motives.
He also found that the safe, which was in an open wardrobe in his bedroom, had been moved as if someone's tried to move it, which he was quite surprised and annoyed at.
Tony fears something's wrong. But little does he know what his daughters are really up to.
When most teenagers want something and they can't get the money from their parents, they go out and get a part-time job. Not Ashley and Holly. That wasn't for them.
July 2010, in Colwyn Bay on the North Wales coast.
I'm going to the pub. When I get back, expect the place to be tidied up. I mean it.
I heard you.
There is trouble brewing. The Robinson family is torn apart. The women on one side, and their father, 61-year-old Tony, on the other.
His space had been invaded.
I've been working really hard, you know.
He was going out a little bit more most evenings, so just to find his own space, to have a bit of time, rather than being in a house with 3 other people.
19-year-old Ashley and 16-year-old Holly are plotting.
There was a feeling of vengeance in the air. They hated their father suddenly, and they wanted to get their own back on him.
Tony has 900 English pounds and some jewelry in a safe. The girls want it all.
There'd been a lot of communications with text messages and phone calls that something was going to happen at night.
With help from their boyfriends, Gordon Harding and Sasha Roberts, the girls plan to rob Tony blind.
Gordon was a normal lad. He'd been brought up in a loving household. In police terms, he was clean. Sasha came from a nice family, but again, he was a nice lad.
On July 6th,
We've got to do it.
2010, it all comes to a head.
Gordon contacts Sasha by text and says, "Need some male help. He goes tonight." That's pretty clear what's going to happen.
Tonight won't be a robbery. The girls no longer care about what's in the safe. They want their inheritance.
Yes, it's got it! How about that?
Tony provided for Ashley and Holly in his will, but they weren't willing to wait for him to pass of natural causes. They wanted their inheritance now.
Oh dear, you know, I've got to leave. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Yeah.
When he came home, he was drunk, but he wasn't paralytic or anything like that. A bit of an argument ensued.
Hey, Dad.
Ashley, I'm not putting up with this mess.
I'll clean up tomorrow.
Oh, it's too late. I'll go rid of your mum. And you can go as well if you don't buck up. I'm going to bed.
Tony went to bed as normal, obviously none the wiser that there was anything afoot.
As the girls and their accomplices gather, they have already decided who will do the deed.
Gordon had 2 knives, one given by Sasha. And it's kind of inconceivable that you would arm yourselves with 2 knives.
Just after 1 a.m., Gordon entered Tony's bedroom. And ended up stabbing him 15 times.
The wounds to Tony were significant. One of the wounds actually went through the top of the shoulder and came out his back. This is an unbelievable murder of a father by individuals willingly acting together. You're supposed to be safe in your own home.
At least Tony may never have realized his own daughters were behind his murder.
There's one member of the Robinson family left out of the commotion. Mom.
He's gone.
Joanne knows the teens have not thought this through. She tries desperately to save them.
Joanne called the police and informed them that Tony had attacked them all.
My ex-husband just attacked our daughter. And her boyfriend in self-defense killed him.
And they'd had no choice but to defend themselves.
Gordon admits to stabbing Tony, but only in self-defense. The trouble is, the evidence doesn't support the story.
Quite tellingly, he didn't have any injuries on him. And I defy anyone really to disarm someone with a knife without getting cut at least once.
Police also noticed that nothing had been disturbed in the room, ornaments and other things, which gave the impression that there couldn't have been this huge fight which Gordon had claimed.
Of course, stabbing someone 15 times in self-defense is 14 times too many.
It's not just the crime scene that's suspicious. The killers leave a digital trail.
Police soon located their text messages and discovered it was a very different story that was emerging from the one they'd originally told.
With their plotting exposed, in 2011, all 4 are convicted of joint enterprise murder. Ashley Robinson is sentenced to a minimum of 22 years in prison. Sister Holly receives 18.
Like most teenage killers, they didn't think everything through. All they cared about was the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Joanne Barr is convicted of perverting the course of justice and serves 4 years in prison. A mixture of resentment and greed was the final blow to a family torn apart.
You're supposed to be safe in your own home. You're supposed to be safe with your family.
Their father's dead, and the blood is on their hands forever.
For these deadly women, appearances were deceiving. Teresa Perez used and abused men all her life. Trell Allen wanted more than any man could provide. And Ashley and Holly Robinson wouldn't wait for their inheritance. All 4 could be sweet, but they were full of sugar and spite.